specifically fat loss, then this is going to be a really good addition. If you're going to start lifting and being in the gym regularly, you need to change the way you see yourself. Is supplements. Now, I think my opinion may be quite counter to a lot of the things I've been hearing. Kind of like a cheat code is because you can actually learn from the instructors, again, without PTing. Hey, I'm Adam if you're new here, and if you're returning, then you know, what's good. Let's talk about building an effective and sustainable fitness routine, right? One that allows you to see results not just now, but also in the long term. I've been training for a few years now, mainly lifting, but I've tried so many things: boxing, yoga, Pilates, loads of things. And I think I've picked up quite a lot of information over the years, as well as being a certified fitness coach, that I think would be really helpful as you craft a fitness routine from the start. This is the first video in my series about stepping into womanhood, which was inspired by this video up here. Today we're going to focus on appearance, health, and nutrition. So let's just get straight into it, and let's start with lifting. This is the foundation for both the sculpting part, where you build the body that you want through muscle mass, basically, right? Creating that shape, if it's an hourglass shape or if it's a very muscular back, whatever it is that you are trying to attain, lifting is going to be one of the best tools that you have. But I would actually only lift 3 times a week if I was building out a routine from scratch. And this reason is because I can hit the muscle groups that I need to, so my legs, back, chest, biceps, and so forth, without burning myself out or potentially causing injury or not leaving space in my routine for other things. So I would have one day that was for legs, so I'd hit my posterior and anterior, so like glutes, hamstrings on the back, but also my quads as well. I'd have another day that would be back and biceps, and then I'd have a day where I did like chest, shoulders, and triceps. And so that's how I would build out that central part of my lifting routine. Now, this is an optional add-on, but I actually have 2 versions of this routine, an A and a B, and there's 2 reasons for this. One, because I may get bored, right, like of doing the same routine every single week, like that happens, and you may want to switch things up. 2, you may get to the gym, and if you're a beginner and you're not quite sure about things, and the machines that you were going to use were taken, and so if you have like a backup kind of routine or a wider variety of exercises to choose from, then you can just dip into those instead of standing around like, what am I supposed to do now? The next thing I would do is I would hire a PT for at least 1 session. Now, the reason I would personally do this is because lifting and exercise in general is not risk-free. In fact, it can be very high risk when you don't know what you're doing. And so, you know, maybe not spending that £50 at Zara and spending it on a PT who will show you how to move through certain exercises safely, how to use, you know, the dumbbells, the barbell safely, how to position yourself for a squat, is 100% worth it, like for the safety as well as for the actual performance implications, right? So get a PT, either get a pack of sessions if you can, just to get you started, or at least have 1 session. I would also consider the use of guides. So these are where people actually build out these routines for you. For example, I have my lifting guide, right? And that's kind of backed by the things that I've been doing for years, plus my fitness coach training. But you can go with whoever you want. And guides are just another way, another layer of adding information into your routine that is supplied by people who've been doing this for years. So consider the guide element as well when you're building out this routine. Another thing that I would do, which leads on to the safety, performance, but also longevity aspect of getting into shape and sustaining it, is having a stretch routine from the start. Now, stretching can be one of these things where you just don't want to do it, right? I know it. I've wrestled with this for years, but the implications of not treating your body the way it needs to when you are effectively an athlete. If you are going to start lifting and being in the gym regularly, you need to change the way you see yourself. You're no longer just, you know, I'm just popping it. You're an athlete at this point, and athletes have stretch routines. They go to, you know, massages and all these sorts of things to make sure that their body is healthy as they go through these exercises and these kind of the motions. Okay, so that's kind of like the lifting portion out of the way, I would say, as my routine. So we now are working out 3 times a week. We're going to do a leg day, like I said, back and bicep day, and a chest, triceps, and shoulders day. And you can kind of vary those. The next thing I would do is I would do 1 high intensity class every single week. That's things like boxing, conditioning, a HIIT class. And again, there's several reasons why I would do this. The first reason is the kind of fun community element of this. Going to the gym can be quite daunting, or starting an exercise routine, but having people around you when you're working out really gives you a buzz. Like, it's actually one of my favorite things to do, especially at my gym because we're kind of small. It's just such a good energy, and it encourages you to work out not only in that particular moment, but you start to feel like you are part of the gym community. So if we're talking about a sustained gym routine or a sustained fitness routine, right? It's about implementing things that makes this a lifestyle versus just a one-off thing, which is why classes such as this can be so handy. I personally love boxing because I kind of forget. Oh, that's not actually a lie. I don't forget I'm doing cardio because when I'm breathing real heavy, I remember. But it's fun. So the next reason is, of course, for cardiovascular health and stamina, right? Getting your heart rate all the way up there and trying to sustain that over the class is really, really useful. Not only for building that out back into your lifting routine and the effects that will have there, but also the effects that it's going to have on your ability to endure certain exercises over a period of time. And of course, it's really good for calorie burning. Like if you are somebody who is focused on weight loss or specifically fat loss, then this is going to be a really good addition, right? Because you can burn so many calories. Some of these classes, when I'm looking at my watch, I'm like, damn. And the final reason I would do this, and it's kind of like a cheat code, is because you can actually learn from the instructors, again, without PTing. So if you are not in a position to have a gym membership and a PT, and that's completely fine, because at the start of my journey, I was not there either. But going to classes, you can learn effectively some routines and some exercises from the instructor, and they'll be doing things with you, especially if you go to like a HIIT class or some class that has like body weight exercises. Maybe you're doing squats, or maybe you're even doing things with weights. They'll be responsible for you kind of in that class, and they'll have to show you how to do things safely. Right, that's kind of the part and the role of a fitness coach or an instructor. And so you can pick up on these things and take those with you into your own training, right? If they're showing you how to do a lunge effectively, then once you go and do a lunge, you now know that you have that kind of knowledge behind you, which is really useful again for safety and performance and getting the most out of the exercises. Okay, so now our training week looks like 3 lifting days. You can split them across however you want, and 1 high intensity class. It could even be a 30-minute class. Like, I'm not saying that you need to go and be doing boxing for 2 hours. Like, a lot of these high intensity classes will be short as well as normal ones. The final thing I would add in terms of exercise is a low intensity class, something like yoga or Pilates. And there are a number of reasons for this. The first thing is about moving the body differently and taking it through different ranges of motion. Right? When you do something like yoga or Pilates, you're going to be moving your body in different ways that you won't when you're doing like a HIIT class or when you're doing lifting. And it's great for mobility, for flexibility, also strength. Like, I don't want to pretend to you that yoga and Pilates is easy. If you've ever been to one of these classes, you know it's not. It's not like the easy alternative to lifting, not at all. But in terms of impact, there isn't as much as, say, like if you're in HIIT and you're jumping, or if you're in lifting and you're, putting a lot of external weight on you. It's a different type of exercise, and it has its own benefits, like I just said. And things like yoga can also be a great supplement for that kind of stretching stuff that I spoke about before, right? Building stretching into your routine and, mobility work into your routine. And the kind of final thing actually in exercise that I would mention is doing 10,000 steps a day. And if not every single day of the week, then the majority of the week. And this is just so that I know that I am moving my body as much as I know it needs to. Because the thing about fitness and health and longevity is it's not just about these moments like an hour a day at the gym, right? It's about moving your body throughout, as the body was designed to kind of do, right? The body was designed for movement. We know this, and we know that the consequences of sitting down all day can be catastrophic for posture, for your bones, for the muscle. Like, there's so many impacts of this. And so getting those 10,000 steps in is going to help with calories. Again, if you are conscious about reducing your body fat, then walking around and burning some calories with steps is going to be great. And you're just going to be moving more, which is just good in general. Okay, so I've spoken quite a lot about exercise, but there is, of course, the nutrition and food side to all of this. And I'm going to say this off the rip. I'm very cautious about talking about nutrition, and this is in no way nutritional advice, because the thing about food is the things that you put in your body can make or break you. You've seen when you have a good diet, what that can do, and when you have a diet that is perhaps not optimal, the impacts that can have. That being said, if I was, building out my routine from scratch again, based on the knowledge that I have now and some of the things I've tried and haven't worked, there are a few key things that I can say quite comfortably have worked for me. The first one is protein, and trying to get a protein source in with every major meal. So for example, whatever I'm eating for breakfast, I'll probably have something like eggs or maybe some bacon with it. At lunch, even if I'm having something like a salad or a rice thing, whatever it is, there'll maybe some chicken in there, some shredded chicken. And then say for dinner, I might have a steak with, some vegetables, or again, whatever it is I'm having. And that will make it easier to ensure that I'm getting an adequate amount of protein into my body and all of the nutrients that come with it. Because when you eat like certain things like fish or eggs or chicken or steak. It isn't just the protein that you get from these particular foods, it's all of the other nutrients, the macro and micronutrients that come with it, which are amazing for the body. And of course, if you're trying to build muscle and trying to sculpt the body we want, we need protein for that, for building those muscles. The next thing is I wouldn't avoid fat. Fat has had such a bad reputation over the years, and there's so many studies that are coming out now to dispel a lot of things that we thought about fat and saturated fats and all these things. And I won't go too deeply into that here, but I would not avoid fat, and I wouldn't swap out things like butter in favor of things like spray-on oils and things of that sort. I would favor the whole foods always over the packaged, highly processed versions of things. And that's kind of my next point, which is I would try at all points to eat whole foods. Whole foods, not the processed version of the food, not the broken down, the whole food, whether that be the steak, whether that be the vegetables, whatever it is that I'm going to be consuming. Oh God, also I'm obsessed with roasted vegetables. I have been eating them like every single day, but that's a whole thing in itself. And I should show you guys about how you make roasted vegetables taste nice. Ooh, balsamic, a bit of, okay. I'm getting carried away with those vegetables. And that will ultimately mean that you are just not eating processed foods like sweets and cakes and all of these sorts of things that aren't great for the body by default and that don't help with your general fitness routine and trying to look the way that you want. Just by eating whole foods, you've eliminated a lot of these other things, or at least reduced them. And the final thing I want to talk about on the nutrition side is supplements. Now, I think my opinion may be quite counter to a lot of the things I've been hearing and a lot of the things I've been seeing pushed by some influencers and things like that. And everyone has their own opinions on things, and this is the internet, so everyone is free to share those. You are free to reject what you want. I'm not a big fan of supplements. I am quite a big proponent of getting your nutrients from the food sources, from those whole foods. And the thing is, the more whole foods you eat, the more nutrients that you get into your diet, and the less need there is for all of these supplements, this endless list of green drinks and this capsule and this vitamin and this, that. It's in the name, right? It is only to supplement your diet, not to replace it. So as much as you can get from the whole food, get it from there. And if you still feel like supplements will enhance you or, will improve your diet or your nutritional intake, then that is up to the individual. I just have always kind of avoided them. And I'm just staying away from things that are processed and packaged. Like those things are also processed and packaged in a way that perhaps my body isn't used to being exposed to. That being said, I have actually used and continue to sometimes use protein shakes. But over the years, I became more conscious of trying to get as much protein from, again, the whole foods. And still though, I like the way protein shakes taste, which is a thing in itself. And I still know that they do contain a high amount of protein. But I'm also conscious of the fact that this is a processed food item, right? This is not, just because it says protein doesn't mean it's not something that has been highly processed and gone through a factory and gone through a series of steps. And so thinking about that at all points is really key. And, you decide what supplements, if any, should be a part of your routine and a part of your fitness journey. So that's it, and I hope this has been useful in you thinking about building out your routine. I have a few videos on my channel that relate to fitness, not loads, but I also have my guide if you want to check that out as well. And stay tuned for the rest of the series as we dive deeper into stepping into womanhood. I'll see you in the next one.